Hello and welcome to Newsclick. Today we have with us Karamat Ali, a labour and peace activist from Pakistan. Karamat, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Karamat, as you know, in Bangladesh there has been a lot of anger on the massacres that took place in the 71 war, and particularly those who collaborated with the Pakistani army. Is there any response on the Pakistan side on this issue, or has it been sort of forgotten and some kind of collective amnesia has taken place regarding the kind of atrocities that the Pakistan army did commit in East Pakistan at that time?
I think when it happened, there wasn't much news in what is now Pakistan. Only those who were interested would try to find out what was happening, but for the majority of the people, there was no real news. The only thing that they received was this propaganda as to how these people were traitors or, collaborating with the enemy in trying to break up the country. No mention of their, rights that they were demanding. No mention of the fact that Mujibur Rahman's party had won the election and was entitled to form a government by itself, because Bangladesh was more than 56% of the population. So, at that time it was really a total lack of information. And also people in West Pakistan, what it was at that time, because when the war extended into West Pakistan, and West Pakistan itself was extremely unprotected. So people were really more concerned about what will happen to them rather than what was happening to people in East Pakistan. But over time, this debate has remained, initially very limited, but these days there is a lot more discussion about what happened in East Pakistan, and people feel in increasing numbers now, because then of course when in the 1970 almost similar things happened in Balochistan. The elected government was dismissed, and later on there was a military operation there which continued for almost 5 years. So that also brought back the issue of what happened in East Pakistan, and why, if some people had been sort of involved seriously in that issue, maybe we would have avoided what happened later on in Balochistan or maybe some other parts. Since the new government in Bangladesh came back, I think 2 or 3 very interesting things have happened. First, it was the reversal of certain constitutional amendments in the Bangladesh constitution, wherein Bangladesh had been declared an Islamic republic, and Islamic provisions were brought in by the 2 dictators, first General Ziaur Rahman and later by General Irshad.
Coming back to the issue of Bangladesh, what you have said, it's very clear that Bangladesh, with Sheikh Hasina coming back and Khaleda Zia having lost elections, particularly the alliance between Khaleda Zia, earlier Ziaur Rahman, and those forces which were collaborating with the Pakistani army, who also incidentally happened to be Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh, that this alliance is now a bit on the back foot, and government is trying to at least raise the issue of the kind of war crimes that took place, the kind of constitutional changes, as you have mentioned, that took place in Bangladesh. Do you think this is also leading to a debate in Pakistan about the nature of the Pakistani state and the need in that sense to break with the army and Islamic fundamentalist alliance, which these two seem to have also formed?
Sure. I think this development in Bangladesh has facilitated a focused discussion on the whole issue of use of religion in the affairs of the state by, in other words, it's like the debate of secularization as well as against sort of theocratization of the state. So that has really helped, because as you know, in Pakistan there is a very strong onslaught of the fundamentalist forces who are highly armed, highly trained, and now armed with suicide bombers, and their outreach is really even beyond Pakistan, as you know what happened in 2008 in Mumbai. So people are really worried about that the kind of, sometimes it seems a takeover by such forces is imminent, and therefore there is an increasing discussion on how do we democratize Pakistani state, which brings in the question of secularization, of demilitarization, of removing religious fundamentalism and extremism from the political landscape. So, that is one. So, along with that, I think this whole issue of the possible trial of the war criminals in Bangladesh. Right now, it is restricted to the collaborators of 1971, but there is also questioning in Pakistan as to why people who were responsible for waging this war against its own citizens, why were they allowed to go scot-free? Whereas we had a commission set up after the creation of Bangladesh, which was known as Mudur Rahman Commission. Under the he was then the Chief Justice of Pakistan, and he submitted a report to the government, which was never made public for a long time. But clearly, there was an indictment of some of the very senior generals and other army officers who were also not only responsible for suppressing democratic movement, but also committing crimes against humanity. And there was a question as to why those people were allowed to go scot-free and why they should still not be tried, because justice needs to be done and these people should be brought to book. And it's also important for the future relationship between Pakistan and Bangladesh. In fact, it has a kind of an impact on the entire future of the South Asian people. So, there is that discussion now, and these days on the net you find a very healthy discussion. There are lots of retired army people who are also participating, and some of them were part of what happened in 1971, and young people from all parts of Pakistan who are looking at these issues, and they are raising some very fundamental questions.
The Pakistan army in the general context is thought to be a more secular institution in Pakistan, but effectively what happened in Bangladesh was really an alliance of the fundamentalist forces in Bangladesh with the Pakistani army, and it's something that we saw later in Pakistan as well. Do you think putting the army officers on the mat will in that sense push Pakistan army closer to fundamentalism, or is it in that sense better to forget about this chapter and say, okay, this happened, but let's move on?
I think it is, in a sense, if you look at the role of judiciary in Pakistan, the current judiciary, which has finally stood up against military dictators and wants to assert its independence and continues to proclaim that all institution of the state has to function within their constitutional sphere. I think that's a very important kind of development in Pakistan. And it seems also the current leadership of the army has also to distance itself from what the earlier generation did. Whether you can't really call Yahya Khan a fundamentalist. I mean, he used to be drunk all the time, and he was not known to be a practicing Muslim even. So, it was not their fundamentalism, it was their whatever the way they perceived their what they called national interest and their own interest, perpetuating themselves in political power where they should not have been in the first place. So, I think there is a possibility that the new generation within Pakistan Army's leadership would like to distance itself from that horrible past, and I mean, one can see indications of that, if you meet people, discuss with them. For example, I mean, there were times this one general who was known as the Butcher of Bengal, General Tika Khan, who later on became Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff, and when he retired, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto made him the Secretary General of the Pakistan People's Party. So, after Bhutto was hanged, there was a movement against the Aul-Haq's rule called Movement for Restoration of Democracy, which had the whole political leadership of Pakistan in. So, this man came to Quetta to participate in a MRD meeting, and the Baloch leadership had to host him, and he was earlier on part of an earlier operation in Balochistan. He was also known as the Butcher of Balochistan. So now he was there as a political leader. So some Baloch leader, they asked him, General Sahab, how many people were killed in the operation in East Pakistan? Because we hear almost 3 million people were butchered. So he said, no, this is totally unfair and this is exaggerated. I don't think we killed more than 35,000 people. So this is a huge exaggeration.
He thought 35,000 is okay. That's a number.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, for him. And I think he was only referring to the people killed when he was in charge of the operation for the first, I think, 6-7 months starting in March 1971. But I mean, that was the kind of mindset that people had. Only 35,000, and what are you people talking about 3 million? But things are changing now.
Two things. One, of course, is that it has to move really into mainstream media where it hasn't still to do so. And the second, of course, is that Bangladesh, India and Pakistan are united by geography, divided by their past. So effect of one will definitely impact all others. So if in that sense Pakistan, Bangladesh and India, all of them have similar kind of problems with communalism. So this is going to be really something to watch. What happens in Bangladesh, does it really go forward? What its impact in Pakistan is going to be, and of course its impact in India as well.
Sure, you're perfectly right. It's not only a question of our past being, uniting us. What is really important is our future is also linked to each other. We somehow cannot do away with that. We have to live in this region, we have to live as neighbors, and we have to deal with the problems that we have between us and within the region, and the problems we create for others. So I really think, I mean, we have to stop living in the past. That is, we are very good at that. So I think we have to really move out of that and see we are, this is one region in the world where there is so much potential for people if they come together. And this is one region which remains totally fragmented. And it is for these three countries, but mainly for Pakistan and India, because even Bangladesh, if these two countries are able to work out their problems, Bangladesh is not that big a problem. I'm saying only Pakistan has to. I mean, they are only asking for an apology. They are not even asking for reparations or anything. So I think it should be, I mean, it's good for us to apologize and try to move on. So I think these three countries should come together. All the problems that we have, in my view, are regional in nature. Look at water, for example, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. Look at the trade issues. If we allow trade amongst ourselves, I mean, in 2 weeks' time, your balance of payment problem will be solved. You share resources. So there is so much that we can gain. We have to work as a region together. Maybe, in my view, maybe we should have a vision of a South Asian Union in the next 10-15 years.
Well, first thing, as you have said, is to address the historical past, the issues, and then move on. Yeah. Not through amnesia, but by addressing it. Yeah. Thanks very much. I think this has been a very interesting discussion. Thanks, Karamat.
Hope
to see you in India more.
Thank you.